Welcome everyone to Module 7. I hope you're doing well this week. For this week, we're going to be reading chapters 8 and 9, which deals with economic growth and unemployment and inflation. You're going to have quiz number 3, which is going to be 20 multiple choice questions. You're going to have one attempt, 60 minutes, and when you start it, you have to complete it at that point. For this week, we're going to focus on economic growth, which is very important. We're also going to focus on the role of unemployment rate, which influences all of the decisions that are really made in our economy. When you look at the unemployment rate, it's looking at people that are working or who are actively seeking a job. The problem that we found in the last couple years is a lot of people are leaving the labor force. And given that they're leaving the labor force, they're not able to find a job as readily available. And that's creating a lot of challenges in our economy. Because when people leave, that's actually making the unemployment rate lower. So there's a lot of challenges with that. A couple other things that we're going to deal with this week is looking at inflation. Inflation's focused on basically the general increase in the price level. So a lot of us are influenced by inflation and a lot of the components of inflation. If our wages never increase, but there's inflation, that's going to hurt our purchasing power. So those are some of the topics we're going to discuss this week. So let's go over the quiz questions that you might see. Now, unanticipated inflation. How does that influence taxes and people that receive fixed income if there's unanticipated inflation? Number 2, the unemployed are those people who are what? Make sure to note that they're looking for work. That's the key. Question 3, the natural rate of unemployment. How does that look at frictional and structural workers? Question 4, if the GDP gap is positive, what does that mean about actual GDP and potential GDP? Question 5, what is human capital? Question 6, what is cost push inflation? And what are some of the characteristics of cost push inflation? When you look at a graph, you want to look at aggregate supply shifting to the left. That's the key. Question 7, what is a recession defined as? Question 8, what is a nation's infrastructure referred to? Question 9, what is the peak in a business cycle? Question 10, what does full employment mean with regard to cyclical unemployment? Does anything exist there? Question 11, looking at the business cycle. Question 12 is looking at a recession. It is a decline in what? Question 13, a worker who would be hurt by inflation when what occurs? Most people that are hurt by inflation are people that have already signed a contract for 5 years. And that 5 years, they haven't adjusted for inflation. What occurs with employment and output in the expansionary phase of a business cycle? What is the definition of inflation? When there's unanticipated deflation, what happens with regard to debtors and creditors? When inflation occurs, how does that influence the purchasing power of money? Question 18. Who are classified as unemployment? The unemployed, I should say. And then we're going to look at the labor force. So those are some of the questions that you're going to see. I look forward to your effort this week. If you need any help, just let me know.